Hi again, everyone. Part two of the salvage the dead AE light gun, or in fact any light gun for that matter, or even a Nerf gun. I've converted a Nerf rifle using this fantastic software and how-to guide from Jean-Baptiste. And hats off to RK Pirate, probably the unsung hero of light guns, who gave me the inspiration after I received an unfortunate dead on arrival AE Lightgun from RK Europe. This video isn't about throwing them under a bus. I received a second gun after they knew the first one wasn't working. So hats off to Andy for making a great effort. I've moved on to Gun4ir, so that gun is not compatible with my system because it uses the light bar sensor or the two IR sensors versus the Gun4ir 4 sensors. But I've passed that on to a friend who has got a Wii light gun set up, and he's very, very happy with it. Albeit there are those sensor issues that other people have reported too. But, you know, as a very occasional gamer, he's certainly happy with it. I can't speak highly enough about the Gun4ir software. I have a few purchased and built Gun4irs. People have seen probably my video where I've converted a Nerf rifle into a Gun4ir thing, and it's just so much fun and easy to use. Anyway, great thing about this manual, it's just so well done, so well written, great instructions, great part lists. It's worth every cent of the license. And in fact, I'm sure I'll be building all sorts of cryptic guns out of this manual myself. It's actually quite a lot of fun. Just a couple of parts that I've got listed in here just to show you. Here's the Arduino board. You'll see this in RK Pirate's videos, but you know, for someone who's got big fingers like mine, you'll hopefully pick up how quickly how small the Arduino board actually is. You have to be really, really super careful. Just like RK Pirate, I went a bit wild and accidentally pulled the USB from the main PCB because it's not actually pinned through the actual PCB. It's just sort of stuck on with solder or something. So you just have to be really, really, really careful. And the like. Here, the switch that I'm using for the trigger is just essentially an arcade switch that you use in an arcade machine or a pinball machine. Again, it's like a $1 part or something that you can get from your local electronics store. Everyone talks about the fisheye lens. All I can say is get one. They're really, really great. That part is like, you know, I think I paid $2 or $3 on Amazon to actually get two lots of fisheye lenses. So I used the other one in my Nerf rifle conversion. Let me know if you want to see the video of how I did that conversion, and I'm happy to step you through that build process. I'll quickly go over to the actual gun, the star of the show, if you like. So a couple of things to point out. Here's obviously the back side of the arcade AE Lightgun. As reported, it uses a lot of thin posts of nylon. You can see that I've got the fisheye lens. I'll show you how that's actually mounted. Really, really simple with a little bit of super glue. Again, 50 cents for super glue. Here's the actual build itself. I've reused the USB cable. Yes, it's a knot. I'll get more fancy and put some sort of grommet there or whatever, but for now it's doing what it needs to do. Here's a couple of the buttons that I bought from JK Electronic. They're momentary buttons, meaning when you press them, they're on. When you let go, they're off. You'll see that I've also got a couple of buttons here and here, especially this front one, which is recessed in the gun, which is, you know, look, the design of it was a bit of a nuisance, but I've got nice big chunky buttons there, so I don't have to go looking for the buttons. I just, you know, if I need to reload or throw a grenade, it's just slide the hand and bingo, you've hit it. Here's a DF robot camera. The great thing about the AE light guns is, guess what? They come with these cameras. And guess what? They use the same cameras that you can use in the Gun4ir technology. So that can be quite difficult to get, and the prices can vary. But look, to be honest, it's probably the most difficult bit in regards to the gun. Hooking it up is really easy. Arcade Pirate really shows a really easy way of stepping through and putting that in. What I did here, just to make sure the fisheye lens could work, is I just removed some of the nylon strapping a little bit just to move the gun back just a few millimeters, and you could just more or less just see how the fisheye lens on the other part of the shell, for instance, just sits in quite nicely with a little bit of super glue, because the fisheye lens is really quite light, but because it's this really light plastic, it holds really, really well. Just going up to the actual trigger mech, here's that arcade, micro switch. I've just used a couple of small little screws just to screw it into the handle. You'll have to fiddle around just to try and get the throw of the trigger how you like it. It took me a couple of goes just to figure out where I needed to actually position it. The trigger design, unfortunately, when I bought the AE Lightgun, and which was the reason why it was dead on arrival on my first calibration, is that the trigger pulled the actual trigger off the PCB, and it basically destroyed the PCB. I had a friend who's into electronics. He said, look, it's just a hot mess. That PCB shot. But the actual trigger mech itself is actually fine. So that, the camera, and the USB cable, you can reuse, which is great. So when you go through and say like $5 worth of switches and some wires and some solder, that trigger, works every single time. It's you can't move that. That's against the gun handle. Here's the Arduino board. Okay, look, it's it's not the prettiest place for it, but it's a real logical place for it. I won't go through and talk about the actual pins, what's soldered to what. That's in the Gun4ir manual, and Arcade Pirate does a pro video really on how that's all hooked up. I haven't got a rumble motor or a solenoid hooked into this yet. That's something I might do into the future. At the moment, I'm just really happy that it's just come together, and then I've got a gun that I could use. But in all honesty, whether this was an AE Lightgun shell or a GunCon shell or a Nerf gun, or any other old light gun, laser gun, the logic's all the same, really. It's just about the key is just the trigger, how you're firing it, hooking up the Arduino board, all the other buttons, making sure you've got the camera hooked into the Arduino board correctly. And honestly, this probably cost me, maybe $50, maybe $60 when you take postage in to convert this over. So from a gun that essentially was unusable, I've been able to salvage that. So anyway, look, that's really the end of the video. Part one shows you me with a little bit of bad gameplay to keep the crowd amused. If you've got an AE Lightgun or any other gun shell, I hope that's been quite useful. For me, I'm not an everyday solderer or electronics person. The soldering, as you'll see on the Arcade Pirates website, you just take your time. It's not difficult soldering in the sense that 5 or 6 wires soldered, plugged into a USB board, and then using the Gun4ir license software. And please make sure you pay for the license; it's worth every penny. To upload the firmware, or get the parts from RPG Electronics or others, from America, etc. At the end of the day, you just you're safe as houses. So anyway, I hope that you find that useful. Leave a comment in the comment section if you want to see the Nerf rifle build. But anyway, I hope everyone found that really useful. I'll let you go. Bye.